I can't even lie to you right now. I cannot remember the last time I picked up my Switch, put a game in there, and played it. And not even just my Switch, but playing any game in general. Part of the reason may be that I'm just so busy now that I don't have the time or energy to really focus on a game like that. For a little bit of time, I even went around saying how video games fell off and that companies are now just dropping recycled garbage with a fuck ton of DLC because they know people are still gonna buy it. And you know, that last part is facts, but the first part is untrue. I mean, great games are still being released. Like the new Zelda game just dropped, and I heard some really good things about it. Like Nintendo may hate their fans, but goddamn do they make good games. So okay, I understand that these new games that have been dropping for the past few years don't exactly have the feel of those masterpieces of the past or whatever, and they may have came and went, but you know what? I'm lying to myself. Video games did fall off. Just like I said, these games are coming and going, just like your dad. It seems like all these new games are either remastered deluxe bundle editions of older games, or they're hyped up big games that are either unfinished flops, or they're popular for 1 week and everyone forgets about them. Like, let's be honest, this is how it's been with game releases recently. Now I'm about to start sounding like an old head. Chill. But goddamn, what the fuck happened to video games, man? Maybe it's because of the oversaturated market, and all these companies just trying to make as much money as possible by dropping shitty, incomplete games yearly. I feel like the only company you can rely on to make games that will last is Nintendo. And the crazy thing is, they're the same ones who made the greatest games of all time too. Like, they've been in the business long enough, they know how this shit goes. But yeah, the reason I even wanted to make this video in the first place was because I've been rewatching Angry Video Game Nerd episodes, and they just had me reminiscing of the times when I was watching them as a little kid, listening to OSTs of the NES and SNES classics, and even downloading emulators to my parents' computer to play them.
Oh my god, bass guy, you can fuck my bitch, race guy. You swag to the maximum, swag on 100,000, 100 trillion, oh goddamn bass guy. Hop up out my car, then I drop my roof, look like Watan Seuss, that's just how I do.
Like, those are good fucking times, man. Now, it's very common for people to reminisce about things that weren't exactly as great as how they remember them to be. You know, they develop false memories of shit that didn't really happen. Now, I don't know the science behind all that, but I feel like that shit happens with everyone. But these classic NES, SNES, Sega Genesis, Nintendo 64, and PlayStation 1 games, the memories of how fun they were is the realest thing, because those games were amazing. Of course not all of them. I mean, James Rolfe made the AVGN series for a reason, right? But a lot of those titles were special because of the originality they brought to the table. With the stories, gameplay, character design, all that, right? Because you know, back then, all people knew was fucking Atari, where you had to use your imagination to play the games. Now, Mario, Castlevania, Zelda, Mega Man, Sonic, Metroid, Contra, Street Fighter, Final Fantasy, Ninja Gaiden. You know, I could go on, but all of these games, right? They may have been innovative and intriguing, but one thing's for sure, they were not fucking around with their difficulty. Picture this, right? It's the early 2010s, I'm a little kid in like the 1st or 2nd grade, I somehow get an emulator going on my parents' computer, I'm excited to play all the games I found out about from the internet, I open the emulator, get some Castlevania going, and I get my ass handed to me. Then I play some Street Fighter 2, and I get fucked up. Then I play some Mega Man 2, thinking, surely, not all these games will be kicking my ass on the first stage. And now, before my personal discovery of the culture of gaming on the internet, the only exposure I had to video games was from playing games at the arcade, games on the Wii, and GTA 3 and Mortal Kombat with my cousin on his OG Xbox. And while those games were difficult at certain times, they didn't start off by beating my ass. Like, I couldn't believe my eyes how hard these 80s and 90s games were. They really showed you no mercy. Even if some did allow you to have infinite continues, that shit didn't even matter because of the difficulty. Now at the beginning, they may have been hard for someone who has never touched an NES or SNES game before, but as I played them more and more, I became familiar with the controls and basically how the whole thing functions. And the more I played, the more the difficulty would gradually rise, allowing you to develop your skills, understanding of the game's mechanisms, and even get some vital items. Not only that, but on the way, you'll get to hear some amazing music, play through really well-designed stages, experience a unique storyline, and use special powers on the hops. After having played through those 8-bit and 16-bit games that I've wanted to for so long, I decided to move on to the 3D classics. This era is also where game developers started putting voice acting in their games. Even if it was ass, some fans still prefer it over the voice acting in remastered versions. I was playing Final Fantasy VII. Now, the blocky ass characters look so goofy to me, but honestly, I feel like it's better than the more realistic remake version. I don't know, it just had character in the original, you know what I mean? I was also on a few survival horror classics like Resident Evil and Silent Hill. The exploring and finding out more on the backstories of characters and events leading up to the present was fun as fuck. But I wasn't a big fan of the confusing ass puzzles and clues to find keys and other shit. Maybe it's just because I was playing games for the action and not really to use my brain like that. I think if I went back to those titles now, I would definitely be more into the other stuff. And of course, I was also playing GTA Vice City and San Andreas, both of which are games I still play to this day. When I do decide to play something, they're just fun as fuck. Riding around the city, doing stupid shit, unloading clips, spinning blocks, doing wild ass missions. You know, these joints were crazy as hell. Now, during this time, I also had a Game Boy Advance SP and a DS, and a little later got an Xbox One. And while I had a lot of fun playing on those consoles, and still do on my Switch when I do decide to use it, for some reason, the feel of the games didn't hit the same as all the other games I played on the emulators. Maybe it was the aesthetic of the older games, maybe the character design, maybe the storylines, but definitely the music. I can't even front about that one. We got straight up masterpieces in the 8 and 16-bit eras. So yeah, that's the way she goes, I guess.
That's the way she goes?
That's right. That's the way she goes. That's what I said.